Greetings and welcome to Georgian Crossroads, another in our Prague Diary series. And today what we're going to do is kind of just take a stroll through the heart of Prague, looking for odd stores, places to buy something, places that have interesting objects. Nothing deep, but very interesting. And I come along, see what you think. And we're going to find the second part of the bric-a-brac store. Remember, I showed you that a few episodes ago. Very fascinating. Well, I got the owner to open it up and to show us the rest of the store. So I hope you find that interesting as well. I certainly did. We're not going to spend a long time there, but certainly enough to whet your appetite. And by the way, whet your appetite doesn't mean make your mouth salivate. It means to sharpen it, like a whet zone, W-H-E-T. And we've got some other things to show you. Well, let's come along with me. Let's go to the streets of Prague. So this is the Royal Way, or the Royal Road, as it's called. This is the main tourist street that runs between the Old Town Square, through Charles Bridge, and to the castle. Now, we're not going to spend that much time here, but enough that you see it and realize that most of what's interesting on this street you're looking at right now. That is to say, it's like a gauntlet of trinket shops and overstuffed with tourists. And this isn't a particularly busy day. This was near the beginning of when they really started opening the city back up in late February, early March of 2022. And it's just people after people. But now, for instance, it's the summer as I record this in July. If you went there right now, there would be, I think, literally 5 to 10 times as many people on the street that you're seeing here. And one of the things you need to learn if you're going to visit Prague, you can go on this road, pick times of the day like in the early morning or later at night if you have to. But there are other ways to get to the bridge from the Old Town Square. And they are much more interesting because they don't have this gauntlet of turtlenecks, this touristy kind of doughy thing on a stick that really doesn't taste that good. It's just this doughy thing on a stick with sugar. Really? No. And originally it came from Hungary, but they tried to make it seem like it's some sort of traditional Czech thing, which didn't show up until tourism really kicked off in the early 90s. Also, there are just trinket shop after trinket shop, places just here to suck your money. However, there are some interesting stores. I did find an interesting record store kind of inside of one of these buildings upstairs. Now, to find something like that, you really have to do some research. I like looking for the music of a country when I'm there. So I like looking for CDs and 45s and LPs, vinyl, when I'm there. And on this particular trip, I found about, maybe 8 or 9 CDs of music that is just absolutely incredible. Groups like Droebit, which nobody outside of the Czech Republic seems to have ever heard of. I picked up 3 of their albums because I'd heard their music before. Rather than bring back some kitschy little, miniature astrological clock, just like they sell the miniature Eiffel Tower or the miniature Empire State Building or something like that, T-shirts that say the name of the place. Why? Why bring this stuff that isn't going to matter? It's like something that empties the meaning from the town. And if you really look at these people, at this point in the video, I've stopped just to let people walk by. What are they doing? Why are they there? I don't think they know. They're just doing what they're told to do. And when you travel, you shouldn't be like that. You should be exploring. And you need to explore. So that means you need several things. One, you should start with a good guidebook. I suggest Lonely Planet. Rick Steves' Prague is pretty nice. And there are other books. Get the book, Lonely Planet has both a Prague and a Czech Republic book. I recommend those. But you need to read them with a certain set of glasses. You can also then start saying, what am I interested in? What is there to do here? Well, one of the things to do in Prague that most people don't seem to understand when they visit, and I've mentioned this in other videos, but I'm going to hit it one more time. Prague is essentially the capital of puppetry in Europe. They have some amazing puppet theaters that are not on the tourist trail. There is one on the tourist trail, and that is the National Marionette Theater, who has been doing a version of Don Giovanni for a long time. That's actually very good. There used to be a second one that was right on this royal road to siphon your money off. But fortunately, and I'm so grateful, they closed down. And I don't think they're coming back. They were run by Bulgarians. It was very crazy. The best part about it was the carving over the theater entrance outside. And then everything inside was inferior puppetry. And we're going to see some puppet stores in a moment here. But I just want you to get a feel for the lostness of tourists as they walk around here. Prague is a fascinating place. And these people are not seeing it. They're seeing stores like, that's a store across the way there that sells candy. Really? Did you come all the way to Europe to spend too much money on candy? Because it's going to be too much money. If it's on this way, everything on this way, for the most part, there may be one or two interesting places, but everything on this way is here to siphon money out of your pockets. That's what it's here for. It's not here to give you a good tourist experience. It's here to siphon money. And this is, if you watch Yannick and Honza, the Honest Guides, on their channel, the Honest Guides, who explore Prague, they will tell you, get off of this street. What I've done right now with this video is just give you an exercise in the mundane. I want to tell you, these are not the people to be. None of these people even know why they're in Prague. You can tell. They're just they don't know what they're doing. They're just looking around. They don't realize that they're the food. It isn't that they're there to eat food. They are the food for all of these stores, that they are being essentially preyed upon by the tourist industry. So, as I was saying before, you should really find a puppet, at least one puppet show when you're in Prague. The National Marionette Theater is a good place to go. There are others. And at some point, I think I will make a list of really fascinating puppet theaters in Europe for people to visit, especially in Prague. One place I would really recommend is look up the word, it looks like Svandovo Divadlo. Svandovo Divadlo. Divadlo means theater. Svandovo is the name, and it's over in the Mala Strana, in the lesser city. Look that up. Go see Buchty a Lodky. It looks like Buchty a Lautki. Buchty a Lodky. Go see their show. Even if it's for kids, I would say pro dieti if it's for kids. But even if it's for children, it's worth seeing. But I would, if you really want your mind blown, go see a show for adults. Because then you will say, oh, this is why Byrne is talking about puppet theater. Yeah, people just walk back and forth on this. And I have found so many things in Prague. And we are going to explore some of the odds and ends I have found in Prague in this video. So let's go find those things. One of the things that's really important about Prague, if you are someone who likes books, Prague is like heaven on earth, and not just for Czech books. It's a pun, isn't it? It may not be good for your Czech book, but Czech as in the Czech Republic, or some people call it Czechia. I can't bring myself to call it Czechia, and most of the Czechs I know can't either. Czech Republic just sounds cool. Czechia sounds like, I don't know, some sort of game you play. But there are so many interesting bookstores here. Bookstores that sell art books that are often in more than one language, really high quality books. They make really high quality books here. Another thing is you can find used books, and we're about to walk into a store here that is one of the bookstores I really love to visit. It has used bookstores. There's actually more than one store here, but let's go ahead and cross the street and walk into this bookstore. Now that is not the title of the store you just saw there. That's just the name of all bookstores that sell old books. Look at these amazing old editions of books there. Just incredible stuff. They also have vinyl records here. They have new books. They have lots of English books. They have German books, French books. This is all used. A very big store. And there are lots more. I'm not going to spend the entire time here looking at bookstores. But this place is a place you really need to go to. It's a place I go to every time I visit Prague. Here is the best English bookstore in Prague. It is Shakespeare and Company. Company is written in Czech there, Nouveau. And this is a great store. No relationship to the bookstore in Paris or any other place. For some reason, they never copyrighted that name. It is also very close to the narrowest street in Prague. You can look that up on Google and find it on a map. And I couldn't walk down there, but I could look down that narrow street. And it is a narrow, it's just, I don't know why they call it a street, but it's kind of cool though, because you can look down there and it's hard to get to. What makes the bookstore so interesting is how deep the stock goes. This is not a little bookstore of a few books in English. This has, if you were living in Prague, you'd be haunting this store all the time. One drawback, the prices aren't cheap, but the material is there. If you want philosophy books, you want to learn to speak Czech, you want fiction, you want Czech writers in English, that's the place to go. Shakespeare and Company. And that's in the lesser city, the smaller city, Malá Strana. So, meanwhile, passing one of these stores, I did manage to find some very cool old, I don't know if they're old, but very cool chess pieces that are in metal. If you're a chess fan, these would be amazing to find. And I highly recommend looking for them if you're a chess person, because this is just quality stuff. And when you travel, you don't want to buy cheap stuff. You want to buy quality stuff. You want stuff you're going to use, stuff that's important to you. do not buy all, and I never understood why people say, would you pick something up for me while I'm there? What do you want, a t-shirt? Why would you curse someone like that? And it is a curse. What is a t-shirt that would tell you about anything? Almost nothing. It's like saying, pick us up a trinket. Why? They're just going to put it in a drawer. The t-shirt's going to just decay. Whereas my Czech music and the DVDs I pick up of, this time I picked up Karel Zeman, amazing Czech animator. These are going to last me the rest of my life. That's what you want. You want things that when you pick them up again, you say, oh, this came from the Czech Republic. Now, bringing food home is a good thing for people who appreciate food. And, of course, food has a different purpose. But look for the quality stuff. Another thing to go look for, this is Divadlo Image Black Theater. Black theater is a type of theater done all in black lights. And some of them are very commercial. But some of them, but you have to go to at least one while you're there. And this place, Divadlo Image, is a good one because it's not right on the main drag. Now, what a black theater is a place where people watch. You're watching in the darkness, but there are black lights shining up, and they make things glow. They also make puppetry very interesting because they obscure anybody dressed in black. So it looks like things are floating because you're watching people completely head to toe in black, moving pieces in front of a black curtain, and you can't see them at all because of the way the light is fixed. So I recommend doing that. It's one of those interesting things you can do in Prague. And this sign here, which is on a major street, but not the one going to the castle, but this is going the other way from the Old Town Square. This is a puppet store that has some classy puppets. And I highly recommend looking for, you can tell the difference between a place that has really good puppets and a place that has cheap puppets. Cheap puppets are going to be cheap. They're going to be really inexpensive. They might be these little doll type puppets. But a good puppet is going to be larger, it's going to be carved out of wood, and it's going to set you back a few dollars. If a good puppet can cost $300, $400, $500, $1,000, I have a puppet that was commissioned for me. By the time postage was factored in, having it sent to America, it was close to $1,000. I am sure it's worth a lot more now. But this place has a lot of fascinating puppets. You can tell because of the character in the face of the puppets. Now, I did get back to bric-a-brac. I went and got the owner, and we walked literally around the building and into this outdoor hallway to the entrance of the store. And it's actually a much bigger store than the other one. And I highly recommend seeing both bric-a-brac. Start with the little one, go to the bigger one. And this place was just filled. I mean, if you want to buy something, buy it here. Support this kind of business. This is non-repeatable. This is not a chain store. It's not one of the dozens of quote-unquote bohemian crystal. It's not a place that, don't go in there and get a Thai massage. You're basically laundering money for somebody's mafia. Go inside and check it out. So I got the owner to open it up, went around, got him, and lo and behold, I got to go see the big store. And of course I said, hey, can I drag out my camera? And he said, why, yes, of course. So let's walk around this place, because this is worth spending time on. And one of the reasons it's worth spending so much time here is that unlike the chain stores, the Starbucks and the McDonald's, unlike the rip-off stores, the bohemian crystal shops, you'll see them all over the place. And you start saying to yourself, why are there so many of these here? How many of these are actually made in the Czech Republic? This place is really Czech. This guy's had the store since 1990 or so, right after the Velvet Revolution. And it was in fact started by someone else, and then this guy is essentially the guy who runs it for him. The actual owner is pretty old now and doesn't make it into the store. But you've got the history of the Czech Republic just looking at you here. You know, paintings, little art, tchotchkes, and of course there are puppets here, which I found fascinating. I did end up buying a puppet at the other bric-a-brac, and it set me back, I don't know, about $200 or $300 to pick it up.
I'm creating my own sound effects.
And it's still in odd shape now, but it's the real thing, a carved wood puppet from the Czech Republic. And I value that, and I'm going to eventually bring it up to speed. Right now I put some clothing on it and made it interesting again, but look at all this stuff.
Wow.
Now, if you really want to look at this, just pause the video at any point if you get interested and give a look at whatever it is. This is just endless. Look at how long the store is, and it really is a big store. Old telephones, old typewriters, old silverware, weird stuff to put on the walls, endless stuff from the Soviet era, stuff from before the Soviet era, the early 20th century, Art Nouveau. Some of this is just kitsch, and some of it, though, is just, it speaks of a time. Both Jan Schwankmeyer and the Quay brothers both talk about the life in the object. And so many of these images have a life, a story, a history, and they speak to you if you're willing to listen. And I didn't spend as much time as I wanted here, mostly because the temptation to spend money was much too great. I spent about as long here as, maybe twice as long as it took to film everything. First time I went around and just looked at everything. And then I came back and ran through with the camera once, just because I just completely fascinated. What is that, Mexican hat there? Mannequin, and I don't know, this is just ultimately fascinating to me. In a way, I remember, I just turned 67. My birthday was a few days ago in July. And I remember stores in the 60s and early 70s in America that kind of had this feel. All of this fascinating stuff. Since then, what's happened is things have become so expensive, you just don't find it that much anymore. Or if you do find it, it's much more recent stuff, much more disposable. But so many of these things have a solidity to them. And I think if you go to Prague, look for a store like this, rather than spending all your time looking at those stores that are just there to leech money out of you. I mean, this guy literally was not trying to sell me a thing. And I could have spent hours there. He was the only person between the two stores, so I didn't want to keep him away from the other store that long. What is all this stuff? I mean, look at it. It's absolutely incredible. Ooh, there I am. Yeah, we did still have to wear masks in the stores then. They just made it so you didn't have to wear masks on the streets, which I was glad, because they had this whole N95 rule that if you weren't wearing an N95 mask, you didn't have the right mask and you might get a fine. So fortunately, I just missed that by a day. I will certainly go back to this place the next time I am in Prague, and I will certainly go back to Prague. That's another thing that people don't understand. If you go to someplace and you've been there once and you think you've seen it, you haven't. And if you have that mindset, you certainly haven't. You have to be open. And Prague is an amazing place to wander around and find things. Look at this sewing dummy with leather and kind of sewn up on the back with leather laces. And someone else came into the store. I was glad that I wasn't the only one there, because the guy needs business, you know. But nevertheless, this stuff isn't running away. It's been there since 1990. It's going to stay for a long time. And it is time to look at some of these old puppets. Some of them are small, some of them are big. This was a perfect devil puppet. I almost bought this. You know, Byrne, why would you want this devil? Because how are you going to do a traditional play of Faust without a devil? Which is precisely what he's there for. You know, it's not dark. It's a way of dealing with life and death. So anyway, I left Bric-a-Brac 2 and wandered back my way home. And this is the street I was staying on. Not very far from the center of town. But then again, as you can tell, not nearly as many people on it. There's actually a small church, well, not that small, that was next door, across the street from me, and I can't quite see it here. And I'm purposely walking behind these people. In order to turn and go into. I happen to be in this courtyard where they had a Czech beer museum, Pivo, and where you could get beer and explore the process of how beer is made. Maybe that's interesting to you. Not so interesting to me. I just prefer drinking the beer, the amazing beer in the Czech Republic. So there you have it. Some more very odd odds and ends from the streets of Prague. Prague is one of my favorite places on earth because of all the cities I've been to. You can wander through it and find things that really prod the mind, things that stand out as unusual. And I think those kinds of things are worth discovering. I have no interest in trinkets. I have no interest in simply seeing tourist sites. I have an interest in finding things that are memorable, that prod my imagination. I spent 3 weeks there earlier this year in February and March, and I'm still unearthing all the photographs I took from that period. So, there is at least 2 more episodes to come, maybe 3, and I will intersperse them now and then between Georgian episodes. Meanwhile, as the Czechs say, nashledanou, which means, well, goodbye. And as the Georgians say, Droebit, which means, see you in a while. From Tbilisi, Georgia, this is Byrne, reminding you to keep your eyes open when you travel. Don't just be a tourist. Be an explorer.
Dobrý den.
Poprosil o jednu fotku pro mloučátko s tímhle sloupem novým.
You want me to take a photo of you?
Jo.
Okay.